Today, we're going to be simplifying algebraic expressions. Okay. Now, what I want us to understand is that this is related to what we've done so far. So far, what we've done is what's called numerical expressions. Notice there's all numbers here, right? This is an order of operations problem. This is what we've been doing. It's what you just took a quiz on. So, some observations about numerical expressions, right? There's no variables. It's only numbers. And what we do when we're simplifying these, right? Like, look, we're given this. Look how much simpler we can make it, right? This is awesome. Okay, this is how we like things. We like things nice and simple. Okay, now some observations. We used order of operations. Okay, remember our order of operations is our, right, parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication, division left to right, addition, subtraction left to right. Okay, and then another observation is that what we end up with as an answer, okay, the answer is just a number. The answer is a number. Like, it's one single number, okay? So now, what we're gonna get into is expressions that look like this. These are called algebraic expressions, right? So here, where we just had numbers and operations, right? We had numbers, we had plus, we had times, we had parentheses, we had exponents, we had division. We had all the operations and numbers. Here, we have operations again, we have numbers again, we also have variables, okay? So this is a big change. Now, because these have variables, what we cannot do, here's what we can't do. We can't operate on a variable. Now, what does that mean? The operations are plus, minus, times, division. We can't do 5 times x. We can't just, right, like up here, we had 4 times 2, we just did the math, we got 8. Here, we can't do 5 times x because x is a mystery. We don't know what x equals. So we can't just multiply these, right? Same deal, we can't just add these. That's not allowed. This is like 2 monkeys minus 9 paper clips. That doesn't make any sense, right? We actually can't do that math. So we can't operate on these variables, okay? And we also cannot make variables disappear. Okay, so what you'll notice is that, like here, for example, we can't just be like, you know what, I'm just going to cross off this x and just add these numbers. Nope, you can't do that, all right? So what's going to happen, because we can't operate on the variable and we can't make them disappear either, the answer will have variables, okay? And you're going to see that. So because we can't operate on the variables and we can't make them disappear either, the variables are just going to stick around, all right? So here's what we can do. We can't operate, we can't make a variable disappear, but what we can do is we can do what's called distribute, okay, which means we can take a number and we can multiply it. Usually there's like a number times x plus or minus a number, right? We can multiply, okay? And we can also combine like terms. So when we get an algebraic expression like this, we can often make it simpler. The answer won't ever look like this, okay, but we can make it simpler, all right? A multiplication table is provided for your work, all right? Let's take a look at this first skill. We're gonna look at distributing first and then combining like terms, and then we're gonna put them together, all right? So let's take a look at distributing, okay? If you need to pause right here and catch up on the notes, that's fine. Okay, so here's distributing. Distributing means, look, this means 2 times whatever's inside here, okay? Now, the thing is, these are not, these 2 terms cannot be combined, right? This is 5 x's plus 3 not x's. That's 5 elephants plus 3 bananas. We can't add those. That's not 8 of anything. So we can't add them, but what we do, right? Because if we had order of operations, if this was just 5 plus 3, we would do that first, but we can't. So instead what we do is we say, okay, well, but 2 is being multiplied by this and it's being multiplied by this, right? It's being multiplied by everything inside the parentheses. So we're gonna multiply and multiply, okay? We are multiplying. We are not adding. Oops, spelled it wrong. Okay, so this is 2 times 5. Now it's 2 times 5x, so 2 times 5 is 10. And 2 times 5x is 10x, right? I have 5 x's over here, and then I have that 2 times, okay? And then 2 times 3 is 6. So I would get 10x plus 6. Okay, and again, feel free if you're like, oh, 2 times 5, what's that? You can use the multiplication table, right? We would go here, 2 times 5. So that would be 10. Okay? Let's take a look at this next example. Here, this negative sign out in front, this is basically an invisible -1. If there's nothing in front of that parentheses, there's an invisible -1 there. So this is -1 times 6 and -1 times -4. Okay, so negative times positive is -1 times 6 is 6. Okay, so this becomes -6x, right? This is negative times positive is negative, and it's 1 times 6x is 6x. Now, negative times negative is positive, and 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, this is your answer. Notice the answers have variables in them, right? This does not look like the answer from order of operations, because here, this is as simple as it gets. We can't combine these. They're not like terms, okay? And then a reminder on the multiplication rules. So if I'm doing a positive times a positive, that just equals a positive, right? 5 times 5 equals 25. Now, same deal. If I do negative times negative, that also equals a positive. So if I'm multiplying and my signs are the same, I get a positive answer, right? So here, for example, positive times positive was positive. Here, for example, negative times, look, -1 times -4, look, -1 times -4 was +4, okay? Now, if the two signs are different, I'm either doing a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive, that's when my answer is negative, okay? So for example here, -1 times +6 was -6, okay? Let's do this last one. Notice this one looks a little bit different, but this is still the same, right? Here, this was 2 being multiplied by everything inside the parentheses. This is 3 being multiplied by everything inside the parentheses, right? This parentheses are still grouping this together, and we're still multiplying by 3. So if you want, you can rewrite it like this, but this is unnecessary, like it's optional, right? You can just do it like this. You can just do 3 times 4x, 3 times -6. But it's the same thing, right? Like this is not wrong, but it's like not a necessary step. So 3 times 4. Okay, again, if you're having trouble, if you don't remember the multiplication tables, right here, 3 times 4 would be 12. Okay, so 3 times 4x is 12x. And 3 times -6 is -18, because a positive times a negative is a negative, and 3 times 6 is 18.